Time to make a little southern cornbread. We start with 2 primary ingredients, a glass and a little bit of Southern Comfort. That doesn't go in the cornbread, that goes in the cook. The next important ingredient, after a little bit of Southern Comfort, is a good cast iron skillet. You can see that mine's been around a while. I'm going to put a little bit of canola oil in here. Oh, about a tablespoon, I think. Should be enough. And then we pop the skillet in the oven. Then set our oven to 450 degrees. We'll turn that down a little bit after we actually put the batter in the pan. I'm going to mix the batter in 2 small bowls. One of these bowls I'll use for dry ingredients, the smaller of the 2, and the other one for wet ingredients. I like to mix them separately so everything gets well mixed together before we put them together. Our dry ingredients would include all-purpose flour, cornmeal, I like yellow cornmeal, but you can use white, salt, baking powder, and baking soda. We'll mix these together in the small bowl. We start with a cup of yellow cornmeal, a half a cup of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, baking powder, a teaspoon of baking powder. I can just kind of estimate these. A half teaspoon of soda, and a bit of salt. Maybe a half teaspoon of salt. That's all the dry ingredients in this bowl. So I'm just going to mix them together really good. See, if you mix the wet and dry at the same time, it'd be hard to make this mix together good. Alright, that's all the dry ingredients. Wet's next. The primary wet ingredient, of course, is buttermilk. And I've already poured some buttermilk out over here. And I've got 1 egg and some oil. So here's our bigger bowl. First thing I do is crack an egg in it. You know, in the old days, we used to have to crack eggs one at a time, always in a separate bowl, because you never knew when you were going to get a fertilized egg, and one with a little chicken in it. Today that doesn't happen very much, but I guess old habits die hard. Then I'm going to beat the egg a little bit, and measure in about 2 or 3 tablespoons of canola oil. Do that pretty quick. And then whip that in with the egg because it emulsifies really well when you do those 2 together. Now you've got it emulsified a little bit, the egg and the oil, and you can put in your cup of buttermilk. Whip those 2 together, and we've got our dry, wet ingredients. And then it's simple. You just pour the dry ingredients in on top of the wet and stir. You don't have to beat at this stage. You just stir them up until it's pretty uniformly mixed. And that's your cornbread batter right there. Now we get the hot skillet out of the oven. Boy, you can see the oil smoking a little bit. That's just the way we want it. And we're going to pour our cornbread batter in that hot skillet and listen to it sizzle. Can you hear the sizzle? If it doesn't sizzle, it isn't hot enough. So next time, heat your skillet a little bit longer. Get all that batter in there. And my cameraman will come in here and give me a close-up. See what that looks like. Cornbread batter sizzling in the skillet. Pop it back in the oven. And I like to turn it down to about 425 at that point. And set the timer for 20 minutes. It should be golden brown. Alright, the alarm went off. The cornbread smells wonderful. So let's take a look. What do I see? It looks wonderful too. This is the best part, folks. Take the cornbread out of the oven. It's still in your cast iron skillet. It's beautifully brown. It's burning my hand. I'm going to put it down right there, and we're going to wait for the eaters of the cornbread. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard the story of the little red hen. If you haven't, you really should look it up, because there's only one or two people who are interested in helping make the cornbread, but I guarantee you there are going to be a lot of folks who will be interested in helping eat it. Suddenly the kitchen's full of helpers, but I got my piece first. Now what I'm going to do is cut it open, grab some butter. If you want margarine, you can have margarine. If you want water and yellow food coloring, you can have one of those fancy fake butter preparations. But me, I like butter. We're going to put some butter on this cornbread. A nice healthy chunk. I believe in butter. I know a lot of people say it isn't healthy, but it's certainly natural. And that's going to be some of the best eating you ever enjoyed.